distance, Road Park, Cedar Creek, St John Newcross,
Mind your heads! Over here by the torch beams. Okay, my first confession. We are not, in fact, in a cave. Semantically, this is actually 3 pieces of chalk mine. The Saxons, the Druids and the Romans initially were not linked by these tunnels. Those were dug later in history. Now, we call them the Saxons, the Druids and the Romans after the work of Dr. Nichols in 1903. He came down and observed the 3 different places and the shapes of their tunnels, the different tool marks, and he was the one who surmised that they were used by different civilizations, by different peoples. The Saxons were using the chalk to burn for lime, to put on agricultural product, to use in farming. The Druids were using the caves for religious purposes, so Dr. Nichols said. The sacrifice of human children. And then the Romans were using chalk for the purpose of building roads, crushed and used as a foundation for the brickwork. Now, beyond those uses, the cave ground, ladies and gentlemen, it's more that the ground above us is going higher. We are beneath Old Hill here, so as we go into the earth, the hill above does go above, further and further up. It's a little bit of an odd one. Anyway, the Thanet Sands is wonderfully held together by those tree roots up there, and hence why we have never really had any cave-ins in the chapel. At one stage, this was actually full of... I smell funny, but I don't like. So, ladies and gentlemen, in World War I, not far from here above ground, was a giant manufactorium, a factory of munitions, bombs, cartridges, bullets, and that was on the site of Woolwich Arsenal. Woolwich Arsenal is still there today in a military function, and those extra bullets and bombs, cartridges and so forth, if they could not be stored at Woolwich Arsenal, would be put on a train and driven here. In the late 1800s, it was very fashionable for lords and ladies and gentlemen who did not have to work to visit various places in England for medicinal reasons. People would visit Buxton to bathe in the spring waters there. They would go, and they created the original seaside holiday for taking in the airs and breathing the salts of the seas. And very, very similarly, the caves became one of these locations. Double helix being the shape of the DNA molecule. The DNA molecule being the very, very building block of each of your cells, a recipe for life. On the left-hand side, there are various images of good things, and then on the right goes by the artist's interpretation, images of evil, of which good is a constant struggle between evil and life. Now, anyone would like to guess how old this carving is? Young man.
25 million years
It is not 25 million years old. Any other guesses at the back?
5,000.
I'm afraid it's not 5,000 years old either. There are a few clues. In the very bottom left is a certain character created by the artist Stan Lee in the late 1950s and early 60s. He created the character by the name of Spider-Man, who does whatever a spider can. Slips a web overhead. Anyway, and then in the middle at the bottom is an inscription of Canary Wharf, or Canada Square 1, the tower, with the shape of the River Thames, and 2 ravens. It was carved by a lady by the name of Sandy Brown in 1995. Now, Sandy Brown, unlike you, had heard all of the ghost stories attached to the caves. It's not a real altar. I'm not going to do anything with it. Anyway, so this long, straight corridor, with its entrances staggered left and right, would be ideal to carry sound and to house a procession of chanting druids. All the way along to here, where you are all standing. There would be a druid waiting in the antechamber with a knife. He would have the sacrifice placed upon the altar. He would stand out. And then he would do the deed. However, Dr. Nichols has never, and we have never, So, ladies and gentlemen, here we have a representation of how the pictures may well have been laid out. At the end of World War II, when everything was said and done, the bombs had finished and the people were returning to daily life, everything in the caves that had been built up or plumbed in for that little village community was taken away. It was recycled and put to use elsewhere. Very, very worthwhile. The electric lights were stripped. The original bunks were moved.
Oh, welcome to beautiful downtown Pettswood. Just went off the train station over there. So, we're now in Bromley. Yeah. Yeah, we're still in Bromley and quite a bit poorer, yeah.